Tonight on West Dakota Fox News at 9, a massive miscalculation in Mandan causing major problems for evening commuters. Plus, a famous face throws his Washington weight behind a North Dakota Democrat. But first, a lawsuit against the governor lands in the laps of the Supreme Court.
This is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Today, the North Dakota Supreme Court heard arguments in a lawsuit against Governor Doug Burgum. Back in December, the legislature filed a lawsuit against the governor, accusing him of abusing veto powers. They say he omitted words and altered the language in several spending bills, changing their intent. Daniela Hurtado has been following this case all day.
The Supreme Court took the case under advisement and will issue their opinion at a later date. Reporting from the Capitol for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
Well, it was a weekend of big decisions and a star guest appearance at the state Democratic Convention. Delegates nominated Jim Dotzenrod to take on incumbent Republican Doug Goring for Ag Commissioner, and Josh Boucher is the party's pick for Secretary of State. Here are some of the highlights from the weekend.
They're still coming.
The Blue Party saw a sea of redheads on Saturday at the Alara Center as Heidi Heitkamp and her family took the stage to accept her nomination for Senate.
There was a little fear that we might collapse the stage.
Her campaign is already seeing some star power. Former Vice President Joe Biden dropped by to throw his personal endorsement and took the opportunity to call out our current administration.
But that's how we've led the world. Not by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
The weekend served as a starting pistol for political season, and the Dems are off to the races.
Without legislators, without people in the seats, in the halls of government, beliefs don't move.
It's not just the Senate, it's a House party too. Delegates named Max Schneider as their pick to run. The weekend also produced some future politicians who already have their own political agenda.
Get better education, more recess.
While the GOP is in recess now, they'll have their turn in Grand Forks in April.
Current Vice President Mike Pence is taking a page out of Biden's book. Next week, he'll be in Fargo at a fundraising event to stump for Kevin Cramer. Our other top story tonight, we woke up this morning with a fresh blanket of snow, but it doesn't look like it'll be sticking around for long. More on that now, meteorologist Henry Blakes.
Yeah, some of that snow has melted, at least on the streets.
Thank you, Henry. There was a mess in Mandan a few hours ago after a semi-truck miscalculated and got stuck under a bridge. You can see they clearly don't have enough clearance there. The State Highway Patrol had to shut down the Sunset exit in Mandan. It happened around 4:30 this evening. Crews are hoping to get the area cleared by the morning. A 19-year-old Bismarck man was arrested this morning after fleeing from officers. Police say they attempted to pull Daniel Hughes over for a traffic violation, but he fled on South 26th Street. When police caught up with him, they ordered him out of his car. Police say Hughes initially complied, but then hit an officer in the face. Police deployed an electrical immobilizing device 3 times before they managed to get him into custody. Hughes was arrested for assault, fleeing a police officer, preventing arrest, failure to halt, and unlawful registration. Police are warning of a bizarre scam tonight. They say a 48-year-old Bismarck woman got a call on Friday. The caller demanded $900 be wired to a Walmart in Puerto Rico, or they were going to kill her son. After she sent the money, the caller told her to flush the receipts. Police say after the caller hung up, the woman called her son's phone. He was safe and not under any threat. A Burley Morton Detention Center inmate could face new charges after he was caught with a homemade shiv. Officers say 19-year-old Ozzie Belgrade saw him passing something through his cell today. Officers confiscated the sharpened item. Belgrade hasn't been charged formally yet for the incident. He is currently being held on counterfeit and simple assault charges. In state news, in 2016, North Dakota passed the Compassionate Care Act, allowing use of medical marijuana in the state. Since then, counties around the state have been creating ordinances and making plans on where to put dispensaries. Today, the Burley County Commission approved new ordinances from the Planning and Zoning Committee. Among them is the medical marijuana order. The ordinance requires dispensaries to be located in agricultural, industrial, or commercial zones, and they require a special use permit. But there's a catch.
They can only be open from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. And I guess the only issue I had with that was we don't know. We don't know if that's workable or if it should be up to the individual owner. I think it should be the same as a pharmacy.
The county commission passed the ordinance, saying that they would possibly be amending it to allow dispensaries to be opened longer. Well, over the past year, a number of elected officials across the country have been accused of sexual harassment. Now, one North Dakota lawmaker is looking to change the policy to prevent harassment from happening in the future. Today, the Legislative Procedure and Arrangements Committee discussed the new policy, but ran into some disagreements. Committee Chair Al Carlson says it's off to a good start, but they need to decide on who victims should contact with their complaints.
In today's world, we just need to have our policy clarified a little bit to make sure that everybody understands, do some proper education with not only the legislators, but with the staff and our office staff that works for us, all the people that work here during the session.
Big renovations are in store for Bismarck Public Schools, but Century High and Bismarck High seem to be eating up most of the budget. Today, a committee met to discuss the plan. The purpose of the $63.7 million expansion project is to accommodate student growth. The facelifts will also include safety measures like updated fire alarms, heat pumps, and more secure doors.
We have some safety issues. We're trying to make all of our buildings have the same type of entrance so that you have to pass through the office.
Also on the meeting agenda, the salary for the next superintendent. Speaking of schools, if a senior hasn't paid off their lunch balance, they might not receive their diploma. To help avoid that, the first grade class at Highland Acres showcased a new pizza creation at Bruno's tonight. 10% of sales and any donations will be credited to the BPS School Lunch Fund for seniors who are unable to pay before graduation. You can taste the specialized pizza for the fundraiser through tomorrow night.
Probably the one with pizza sauce, Canadian bacon, cheese, and steak.
Currently, 80 seniors in Bismarck Public Schools have outstanding lunch balances totaling $840. In health news, e-cigarettes have long been sold as a healthier alternative to the real thing. But a new study by PLOS One shows e-cigarettes are often a gateway to an actual smoking habit. The study found that about 2,000 adults were able to quit smoking with the help of e-cigarettes, but it also found that 168,000 teens and young adults went from electronic to regular. Those mixed results have the medical community hesitating.
The items in there are potentially as carcinogenic as those in a regular cigarette. So until they do the studies and the FDA says that it's one of the approved ways of cessation, it is not recommended.
The study adds that 1.5 million years of life would be lost by using e-cigarettes. Cleanup was underway today in Florida at the site of the deadly bridge collapse. The $14.2 million bridge was built to connect the FIU campus and the Sweetwater community and allow people to avoid the busy and dangerous road beneath it. The 950-ton span was reportedly designed to withstand a Category 5 hurricane. But just days after it was installed, it collapsed, killing 6. Today also marked the first lawsuit from the accident. An Orlando attorney filing the first lawsuit on behalf of a victim who was injured. The victims who were killed range in age from 18 to 57 years old. The federal investigation is ongoing. Over in Maryland, a jackknifed tractor trailer caused a 20-car pileup on the Beltway. Officials say the semi was transporting large stones and gravel. Several drivers involved in the wreck had to be evaluated by EMS crews, with some being transported, but luckily no fatalities were reported. A sheriff's office in South Florida got a rude awakening this morning after a woman intentionally drove her car through the glass entrance. Officials say she drove into the building because she was, quote, upset. The driver, who was reportedly on fire, was taken to the hospital. And a woman is dead in Arizona after a self-driving Uber struck her as she crossed the road. According to police, an operator was behind the wheel at the time of the crash, but the car was in autonomous mode. A spokesperson for Uber says the company has decided to suspend their self-driving operations as a result. We're going to warn you, this is some disturbing video. It captures the moment a Cirque du Soleil performer falls to his death. The acrobat plummets 20 feet after his hand slipped practicing a new act. He later died in the hospital. 4 people are injured after a train goes off the rails in Kentucky. The accident happening on Sunday in Georgetown. 2 trains were involved in the crash that sent diesel fuel spilling all over the roadway. No word yet on what caused the accident. President Trump is in New Hampshire today to address the nation's opioid crisis. The 3-part plan includes a proposal to give drug traffickers the death penalty. The plan is already raising some eyebrows. And a new UN report says more than 5 billion people could face water shortages by 2050 as a result of climate change. According to the World Water Development Report, humans use about 1,100 cubic miles of water every year. 70% of this is for agriculture, and experts say that the number is likely to grow as population increases. We're getting some moisture relief with this latest snowfall, right, Henry?
Yeah, most definitely, especially with this photo in Gulva, about 6.5 inches measured.
Another explosion has injured at least 2 more people in Austin, Texas. It follows a pattern of deadly targeted explosions, but police say the latest bomb may have been triggered differently than the others. Andrew Spencer reports.
Pay attention to any suspicious device, whether it be a package, a bag, a backpack, anything that looks out of place, and do not approach it.
Police in Austin, Texas are asking people to be extra vigilant after yet another bombing, this time on the side of the road.
It is very possible that this device was a device that was activated by someone either handling, kicking, or coming in contact with a tripwire that activated the device.
2 men suffered serious injuries in Sunday night's explosion and had to be taken to South Austin Medical Center. Doctors expect both men to survive. A string of exploding packages has troubled Austin, Texas since the beginning of March, injuring 2 people and killing 2 others. Investigators are operating under the assumption that those explosions are linked to Sunday night's bombing, but they haven't confirmed anything yet. Sunday afternoon, Austin Police Chief Brian Manley said whoever is behind the bombings appears to be trying to send a message, and he urged them to come forward before anyone else got hurt.
We assure you that we are listening. We want to understand what brought you to this point, and we want to listen to you.
Law enforcement worked through the night trying to make sure the area was safe and warning people who live nearby to stay inside their homes. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
Meantime, there was a bomb scare in Oregon today. Police say 2 suspicious backpacks were found near the Lewis and Clark Bridge. They sent a robot to blow those backpacks up. Turns out there were no explosives inside, just personal items. The Lewis and Clark Bridge was closed for about 4 hours. It crosses the Columbia River, connecting the cities of Longview, Washington, and Rainier, Oregon. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is getting some A-list competition. Actress Cynthia Nixon is throwing her hat in the race. Nixon starred as Miranda Hobbs on the HBO show Sex and the City from 1998 to 2004. Nixon, an openly gay mother of 3, lives in Manhattan and is a major supporter of New York Mayor Bill de Blasio. And here's some piercing news. Claire's Accessories is filing for bankruptcy. But don't worry, you can still get your ears pierced there while the company restructures its debt. Claire says it's confident it will emerge from bankruptcy protection in September, having reduced its debt by nearly $2 billion. Are you worried about catching a cold or the flu on an airplane? Try booking a window seat. That's the advice coming out of a study funded by the airplane manufacturer Boeing. The study sent researchers onto commercial flights to look for viruses and observe how and when travelers come into close contact with them. They found that people sitting in aisles get up the most and are therefore more likely to be near an infected person. So, to best avoid germs, snag a window seat and don't leave it until your flight is over. The study was published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Henry, are you a window seat person or an aisle seat person?
I'm a window seat person, not to avoid germs or anything. I just like the
just
view.
To avoid people.
No, yeah, that is true. But hey, I do like seeing the views, but that's some good advice. We'll see if it works. But hey, we could be waking up to a little bit of snow across the southwest in the morning. The Dickinson, that includes you, and then it'll gradually push east. A weak little disturbance, so not everyone is going to get snow, and it's not going to be very strong. So by the lunchtime hour, possibly making it into the Bismarck area and pushing out of here. So we start our Tuesday morning in the 20s. Wind remains light. Remember, tomorrow is the first day of spring. We get a little bit of a break Wednesday, Thursday, but I will be monitoring potentially significant storm come Friday, possibly some more wet, heavy snow, because I know last night when I went to bed after midnight, there was nothing on the ground. Woke up this morning, yeah,
we were
5
all
inches.
in for a surprise.
Yes.
Yes. I'm really glad you didn't say you were a middle seat person, because then I wouldn't be able to trust you.
Oh, I'd like to hear a story about that.
Okay. We'll hear that tomorrow. See you then.